The rain-slicked streets of Los Angeles swallowed Elijah whole as he hurled his phone into the gutter, the screen shattering like his last shred of trust. "You're done with me, Isaiah? Admit it!" He'd screamed into the void of their empty Echo Park loft just minutes ago, the words echoing off exposed brick walls that once held their whispered promises. But now, under the relentless downpour, all he could see was the betrayal etched in Isaiah's silence, a quiet that cut deeper than any tabloid headline. Elijah's boots pounded the pavement, each step a furious denial of the life he'd built under those unforgiving spotlights. Hollywood had chewed him up and spat him out before, but this felt personal, like the one man who'd pieced him back together had finally tired of the mess. He ducked into a dive bar on Sunset, the kind with neon signs flickering like dying stars, and ordered a whiskey neat, his hands trembling as he signed the tab with a fake name. The burn down his throat was nothing compared to the ache in his chest, where Isaiah's voice still lingered. "Wait, Elijah. Just wait." But waiting was for fools who believed in second acts. Elijah had clawed his way from a nothing-town trailer park in rural Ohio to indie film darling, then reluctant heartthrob, all while hiding the parts of himself that didn't fit the script. Isaiah had been there from the start, a sharp-suited manager fresh out of NYU, with eyes like polished obsidian and a smile that disarmed casting directors and Elijah's defenses alike. They'd met at a cattle call audition in a stuffy West Hollywood theater, Elijah fumbling lines from a script he couldn't afford to lose, Isaiah slipping him a coffee laced with just enough encouragement to make him believe he belonged. That night, after Elijah nailed the callback, they'd celebrated with cheap tacos from a truck parked crookedly on the boulevard. Isaiah had leaned in close over the plastic table, his knee brushing Elijah's under the string lights, and said, "Kid, you've got fire, but fire needs tending, or it burns everything down." Elijah had laughed it off, but the spark was lit. Over late-night script reads in Isaiah's cramped Silver Lake apartment, amid stacks of headshots and dog-eared trades, that spark grew. Stolen glances turned to tentative touches, a hand on the small of the back during a tense meeting, fingers lingering too long over a shared cigarette on the fire escape. By the time Elijah's first film premiered at Sundance, their secret was a fragile thing, wrapped in NDAs and the thrill of forbidden glances across crowded afterparties. Isaiah became more than a manager. He was anchor, confessor, the one who knew about the bruises from Elijah's stepfather's belt, the nights spent practicing monologues in empty high school auditoriums to drown out the shouts. "You're not that scared kid anymore," Isaiah would murmur during those raw, post-audition debriefs, his thumb tracing circles on Elijah's wrist until the panic ebbed. And Elijah believed him because in Isaiah's world, polished yet unflinching, there was room for the jagged edges. They navigated the industry's minefield together, the predatory producers who saw Elijah as fresh meat, the tabloid vultures circling for any whiff of scandal. Isaiah shielded him, spinning stories of method acting retreats to cover their weekends away in Big Sur, where they could walk hand-in-hand on mist-shrouded beaches without the flash of paparazzi bulbs. But fame is a jealous lover, and as Elijah's star ascended, landing the lead in a gritty coming-of-age drama that earned him an Emmy nod, the cracks began to show. Whispers in green rooms about Elijah's mystery muse, sidelong glances from co-stars who'd clocked the way Isaiah hovered a beat too protectively. Elijah felt the weight of it all, the constant performance extending beyond the screen. "We can't keep pretending," he'd hissed one night after a gala, tipsy on champagne and frustration, as they tumbled into a cab back to Isaiah's place. Isaiah had pulled him close in the shadowed back seat, lips brushing his ear. "Pretending? Baby, this is real. We're real." And for a while it was enough. The stolen hours, the coded texts, the way Isaiah's laugh could unravel Elijah's knotted nerves like nothing else. Yet doubt festered. Elijah's agent started pushing for a straight rom-com to broaden his appeal, and suddenly Isaiah's advice felt like chains. "You're holding me back," Elijah accused during a heated argument in their shared office space overlooking the Hollywood Hills, scripts scattered like fallen leaves. Isaiah's face had crumpled, just for a second, before hardening into that professional mask. "I'm protecting you, El. You think this town forgives vulnerability." But Elijah, raw from a brutal table read, saw sabotage instead of salvation. The final straw came when a leaked email surfaced on Deadline, details of Elijah's erratic behavior during shoots, sourced anonymously but reeking of insider betrayal. Isaiah's name wasn't on it, but his access was. "You sold me out," Elijah roared, storming from the loft, the door slamming like a guillotine. Now, in the bar's sticky booth, the whiskey blurred the edges of memory. Elijah scrolled through his cracked phone. Thank God it still lit up. Past voicemails from publicists and a single text from Isaiah. "Come home. Please. Home." The word tasted like ash. He'd built an empire on charisma, but without Isaiah's steady hand, it all felt like smoke. A jukebox crooned some forgotten Springsteen ballad about highways and heartbreak, and Elijah wondered if he could just vanish. Hitch a ride east, back to the cornfields where no one cared who he loved. The door chimed, and a figure shook off rain in the entryway, broad shoulders cutting through the haze like a beacon. Isaiah. Of course it was. He scanned the room with that predatory focus honed from years of schmoozing execs, landing on Elijah with a mix of relief and something darker. "Fear? L?" he said, voice low as he slid into the booth, uninvited. Water dripped from his dark curls, soaking the collar of his Oxford shirt. Up close, exhaustion carved lines around his eyes that Elijah hadn't noticed before. "Leave," Elijah muttered, signaling the bartender for another round. But Isaiah didn't budge, his hand ghosting over Elijah's on the scarred tabletop. A touch that once ignited, now just stung. "I leaked it," Isaiah said flatly, the confession dropping like a stone into still water. Elijah's glass froze midway to his lips, the world narrowing to those 3 words. "Not to hurt you, to save you." The bar's hum faded, leaving only the thud of Elijah's pulse. Save him? From what? Isaiah leaned in, voice threading through the din like a lifeline. "That email? It was bait. Your stepdad's been shopping stories to the rags. Fabricated shit about your wild youth. Trying to cash in on your name. I got wind from a contact at Variety. If it hit without warning, it'd bury you. So I preempted it. Made it look like industry drama, not family skeletons." Elijah's laugh was bitter, hollow. "You decided that for me?" Without a word. The pieces clicked, the late nights Isaiah spent networking. The way he'd deflected questions about Elijah's past. Protection, he'd called it. Control, Elijah saw now. Isaiah's gaze held steady, unyielding. "You were spiraling, L. After the Emmy snub, the press tours, you stopped sleeping, started doubting everything. Including us. I thought if I handled it quiet like, we could move past it. But I fucked up. I should have trusted you to fight with me." Rain lashed the windows, mirroring the storm inside Elijah. Betrayal twisted into something softer, more complicated. Grief for the trust they'd lost. He wanted to shove Isaiah away, to run until the hurt dulled, but the man's hand was warm, real, anchoring him to the booth. "Why wait to tell me?" Elijah whispered, voice cracking. "Because I was scared you'd leave for good." Isaiah's thumb brushed Elijah's knuckles, a plea wrapped in touch. "And I can't lose you. Not to this town, not to ghosts. Not to me." The jukebox clicked to a slower tune, Patsy Cline's ache filling the spaces between them. Elijah searched Isaiah's face, seeing not the manager who'd built his career, but the lover who'd held him through breakdowns, the friend who'd laughed at his terrible impressions of Brando. Maybe the truth wasn't a weapon, but a bridge, shaky, scarred. But there. "Take me home," Elijah said finally, the words tasting like surrender and hope. Isaiah's smile broke slow, tentative, as he tossed bills on the table and pulled Elijah to his feet. Outside, the rain had eased to a drizzle, streetlights haloing puddles like fallen stars. They walked in silence back to the loft, arms brushing, the city's pulse syncing with their own. But home wasn't the same. The argument's debris lingered. Overturned chair. Isaiah's laptop still open to damage control emails. Elijah paused in the doorway, the weight of unspoken fears pressing down. "This doesn't fix it," he said, turning to face Isaiah. "The secrets, the hiding. If we're doing this, us, the career, all of it, we do it open. No more shields. Isaiah nodded, stepping closer until their breaths mingled. Open as we can. For now. His hand cupped Elijah's jaw, thumb tracing the line of stubble. And when their lips met, it was fierce, forgiving. A collision of relief and resolve. No grand gestures, just the quiet rebuilding of what fame had nearly torn apart. Yet as they collapsed onto the rumpled bed, tangled in sheets that smelled of them both, Elijah couldn't shake the undercurrent of doubt. Isaiah's protection had saved him once. But at what cost? The industry didn't reward vulnerability. It devoured it. And in the dead of night, with Isaiah's steady heartbeat against his back, Elijah wondered if love could outrun the spotlight's glare, or if it would one day demand they choose. Dawn crept through the loft's floor-to-ceiling windows like an uninvited guest, painting the room in hues of bruised purple and gold. Elijah stirred, Isaiah's arm heavy across his waist, a reminder of the fragile peace they'd forged in the bar's confessional glow. He slipped free, padding barefoot to the kitchenette where coffee brewed on autopilot, a habit Isaiah had ingrained during their first shared mornings, back when additions were the only monsters under the bed. The machine gurgled, steam rising like ghosts, and Elijah leaned against the counter, scrolling news on his phone. The leak had mutated overnight, TMZ splashing headlines about Elijah Hart's behind-the-scenes meltdown. Manager sources confirm. Hart, the stage name Isaiah had suggested, sleek and marketable, distancing him from the boy named Elijah Crow who'd fled Ohio with nothing but a duffel and dreams. Now it mocked him, pixels of his unraveling splashed across feeds. Isaiah appeared in the doorway, hair sleep-tousled, wearing nothing but boxers and a vulnerability that made Elijah's chest tighten. Morning, he murmured, crossing to pour 2 mugs, handing one over with a brush of fingers that lingered. You sleep. Some. Elijah sipped, the bitterness grounding him. The stories everywhere. They're saying I'm cracking under pressure, that you're jumping ship. Isaiah winced, setting his mug down to rub his temples. Damage control's my job. I'll spin it, say it's a mutual break for creative recharge. Buy us time. He stepped closer, voice dropping. Us sell. Not just the brand. Elijah set his phone face down. The screen's glow too harsh for this tentative light. Time for what? More leaks? More lies to keep the wolves at bay. The words came sharper than intended, laced with the residue of last night's hurt. Isaiah's flinch was a knife twist. Elijah hated how easily he could wound the one person who'd never aimed to. Not lies, Isaiah countered, gentle but firm, backing Elijah against the counter until their hips aligned. Strategy. You think I like this dance? Hiding how I look at you in rooms full of suits who'd crucify us both. His hands framed Elijah's face, thumbs sweeping under his eyes. But you're on the cusp, baby. That indie flick's getting Oscar buzz. One wrong move, and they rewrite your story without you. Elijah's laugh was soft, defeated. My story's already rewritten a dozen times. Trailer trash kid plays tortured artist. It's a trope. He leaned into the touch, forehead resting against Isaiah's. But you make me want the real ending. Not the one where I burn out at 30. Isaiah's kiss was slow, deliberate, tasting of coffee and unspoken vows. Then let's write it together. No more solo acts. They lingered there, wrapped in the morning's hush, until Elijah's phone buzzed. A text from his co-star, Lena, heard the drama. Call me. We need to talk strategy and hearts. Lena, with her no bullshit Brooklyn edge and sixth sense for bullshit, had been the loft's unofficial third wheel since the film's wrap party. She'd clocked them early, offering a wink and a "your secret's safe, but don't fuck it up" over shots of tequila. Elijah pulled back, smiling faintly. Lena wants in on the chaos. Isaiah groaned theatrically, but his eyes sparkled. The old rhythm, easy and alive. They dressed in companionable silence. Elijah in jeans and a faded tee from his Sundance days. Isaiah in his armor of chinos and a crisp button-down. Over breakfast burritos from the corner truck, extra guac, hold the drama. They plotted. A low-key interview with Variety to reframe the meltdown as artistic evolution. A social media post from Elijah teasing personal growth ahead. By noon, they were in Isaiah's office, a sun-drenched corner suite in a Century City high-rise where floor-to-ceiling glass framed the sprawl of LA like a kingdom at their feet. Assistants buzzed in with lattes and contracts, oblivious to the undercurrent humming between the two men. Elijah perched on the desk's edge, script in hand for an upcoming table read, while Isaiah fielded calls, his voice a velvet blade negotiating endorsements. Mr. Hart's availability for the Prada campaign? The publicist on the line trilled, and Isaiah's gaze flicked to Elijah, warm with private amusement. Tight schedule, but we'll make it work. The word wove through their days like thread, mending the frayed edges. But the afternoon brought shadows. A knock, sharp, insistent, and in strode Victor Lang, the studio exec who'd greenlit Elijah's breakout film. All silver fox charm and shark's eyes. "Elijah, my boy," heard the buzz. "Tough break." He clapped Isaiah on the shoulder a beat too hard, lingering. "Isaiah, always the fixer. But let's chat, off the record." Isaiah's jaw tightened imperceptibly, but he nodded, excusing himself to take the call in conference. Left alone with Victor, Elijah felt the air thicken, the exec's cologne cloying as he perched on the desk, too close. "Look, kid, talent like yours? This gold. But this noise, managers stirring pots, it distracts. Ever thought of fresh blood? Someone who gets the big leagues." Elijah's stomach nodded, Victor's hand brushing his knee in feigned camaraderie. "I'm good with Isaiah. He's family." The word slipped out, loaded, and Victor's smile sharpened. Family's overrated in this town. Loyalty's a luxury. He slid a card across the desk, gold embossed, promising discreet representation. "Think on it, before the wolves circle closer." Isaiah returned minutes later, face a mask, but Elijah saw the crack, the way his fingers drummed the armrest. "What did he want?" Isaiah asked, casual as pouring scotch from the minibar. Elijah pocketed the card, unreadable. The usual, poaching. Silence stretched, heavy with the unsaid. Victor's reputation preceded him, a trail of mentored talents who'd emerged polished but hollow, rumors of late-night meetings that blurred professional lines. Isaiah knew. It had been a bone of contention early on, when he'd shielded Elijah from a private screening, invite that reeked of ulterior motives. "Dinner," Isaiah suggested, deflecting, his hand finding Elijah's under the desk. A squeeze of solidarity. They escaped to a hole-in-the-wall Italian in Little Tokyo, tucked in a booth where lanterns cast golden pools over checkered cloths. Over plates of cacio e pepe and house red, they dissected the day. Victor's play, the leaks fallout, Lena's impending arrival for a girls' night, that'd inevitably rope Isaiah in for takeout and truth bombs. "You're too good for this grind," Isaiah said midway through, twirling pasta absently. "Remember that script you wrote in Big Sur? The one about the drifter finding home? Pitch it. Be the creator, not just the face." Elijah's fork paused, warmth blooming at the memory. Nights by the fire pit, Isaiah reading lines with exaggerated accents until they dissolved in laughter. "Yeah? You think I can?" Doubt lingered, but Isaiah's nod was fierce. "I know you can, and I'll be right there, haggling the deal." His foot hooked Elijah's under the table, a secret anchor. For a moment the world outside, the leaks, the execs, the endless performance, faded. It was just them, two dreamers in a city of make-believe, carving out real in the margins. Lena arrived post-dessert, bursting through the restaurant door like a force of nature, her locks tied back, arms laden with bakery boxes. "Bitches, I brought cannoli and my unfiltered wisdom." Hugs exchanged. She slid in beside Elijah, eyeing Isaiah with mock suspicion. "You two look suspiciously reconciled." "Spill." Over tiramisu and second glasses of wine, they did, haltingly at first, then in a rush. The fight, the bar, the truth about the leak. Lena listened, chin propped on fist, then whistled low. "Damn, Isaiah. Ball's a move. But he's right, you're a powder keg. Time to own the blast, not hide from it." Isaiah raised his glass, a toast to new chapters. But as they walked Lena to her Uber, Elijah caught the flicker in Isaiah's eyes. Weariness, perhaps, or the weight of secrets still held close. Back at the loft, tangled once more, Elijah whispered against Isaiah's skin, "No more hiding. Promise." "Promise?" Isaiah echoed, but in the dark, his hold tightened, as if bracing for the storm neither could outrun. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of calculated chaos. Press junkets in New York where Elijah charmed with half-truths, Isaiah orchestrating from the wings like a maestro. The meltdown narrative shifted under their nudges. Variety ran a piece on Elijah Hart's bold pivot. From star to storyteller, teasing his original script. Offers trickled in. Not just roles but development deals. Whispers of auteur status that made Elijah's pulse race with something purer than fear. Yet Victor Lang loomed. His card a talisman Elijah hadn't tossed but couldn't ignore. It surfaced during a late-night script session in the loft. Pages strewn across the coffee table amid takeout containers and half-empty beer bottles. Isaiah paced, reading Elijah's drifter monologue with gravelly intensity. "Home ain't a place. It's the scar you carry quiet, hopin' it don't bleed." Elijah watched, mesmerized by the way words he'd bled onto paper came alive in Isaiah's voice, raw and resonant. "That's it," he breathed when Isaiah finished, reaching to pull him down onto the couch. "You get it. The ache." Isaiah straddled his lap, hands framing Elijah's face, eyes dark with shared hunger. "Because it's yours. And I know you." The kiss deepened, hands roaming with familiar fire. But Elijah broke it, Victor's words slithering in. "Loyalty's a luxury." "Isaiah," he said, voice husky but steady. "What if we went public? Not a circus announcement, just... At the next premiere, hold my hand on the carpet. Let them speculate." Isaiah stilled, thumbs pausing their caress. The room's hum, AC whirring, distant traffic, filled the breach. "Are you sure? This town eats couples like us for brunch." His tone was light, but tension coiled beneath, a wire pulled taut. "I'm sure. Tired of shadows." Elijah's fingers traced Isaiah's spine, feeling the subtle tremor. "We face it together or not at all." Isaiah searched his face, then nodded, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of resolve. "Together." But as they moved to the bedroom, shedding clothes like old skins, Elijah sensed the hesitation. A shadow Isaiah buried deep. The premiere was for Echoes of Dust, Elijah's latest. A taut indie thriller shot in the bone-dry flats of New Mexico, where he'd poured his stepdad's ghosts into every shadowed frame. Red carpet fever gripped the Egyptian theater, flashes popping like gunfire, fans chanting his name from barricades. Isaiah stood beside him in a tailored black suit, looking every inch the power player, but his hand brushed Elijah's lower back, subtle, electric. Then Lena linked arms with them both, her emerald gown a defiant slash of color. "Showtime, boys." Midway down the carpet, as Mike's thrust forward with questions about the pivot, Elijah turned, cupping Isaiah's neck and drawing him into a kiss, brief, bold, the world blurring to cheers and gasps. It exploded online before the after-party. Elijah and Isaiah trending, gifs looping the moment, headlines from gushing, "Love wins in Hollywood," to snide, "Heart's heartbreak PR stunt." Inside the theater, during the film screening, Elijah gripped Isaiah's hand in the dark, the on-screen violence mirroring his internal churn. Victor was there too, 2 rows back, his presence a chill draft. Post-screening, the rooftop party pulsed with A-listers and agents, champagne flutes clinking under string lights strung like constellations. Lena dragged them to a corner booth, toasting with glee. "You legends," Twitter smelting. But Isaiah's laugh rang forced, his eyes scanning the crowd. Victor approached then, flute in hand, smile oily. "Bravo, Elijah. Ballsy. Reminds me of my wild days." He turned to Isaiah, voice pitched low. "You always did know how to make an entrance. Or exit." Isaiah's grip on his glass whitened knuckles. "Just business, Vic." But Elijah caught the undercurrent. The history Isaiah had glossed over. A shared past in New York's cutthroat agency scene where Victor had mentored a younger Isaiah. Rumors of favors traded in dimly lit lounges. Elijah excused himself for air, stepping onto the balcony overlooking Hollywood Boulevard's neon vein. The city sprawled below, alive and indifferent. Isaiah followed, closing the glass door behind them. "You okay?" "Yeah, just Victor. What's his deal with you?" Elijah leaned on the railing, wind tugging his tie. Isaiah sighed, joining him, elbows brushing. "Old shit. He gave me my start, internship that turned into deals. But he wanted more. Strings attached. I cut loose when it got messy. Came to LA to build clean." Elijah's gut twisted. Not jealousy, but sorrow for the boy Isaiah had been, navigating predators alone. "Why didn't you tell me? Ancient history. Didn't want it tainting us." Isaiah's hand covered Elijah's on the rail. "But now, with the kiss out there, it'll drag up mud. On both of us. Let it." Elijah turned, pulling Isaiah close. "We're not hiding anymore." Their foreheads touched, breaths sinking in the night air, until a reporter's voice pierced from below. "Elijah! Isaiah! Quick word." They descended, hand in hand, facing the frenzy with linked arms. A united front. The night devolved into a blur of selfies and sound bites. Well-wishers clapping backs. But Victor's gaze lingered, promising ripples. Back at the loft, euphoria crashed into exhaustion. They stripped down, collapsing into bed, but sleep evaded Elijah. Isaiah's breathing even beside him, yet Elijah traced the lines of his face, wondering at the walls still standing between them. Dawn brought a deluge of notifications. Supportive posts from allies, trolls spewing vitriol, and one anonymous DM to Isaiah's inbox, forwarded in a moment of transparency. "Knew you'd crack, pretty boy. Vic says hi. Remember Berlin?" Elijah's blood ran cold. "Berlin?" Isaiah stirred, seeing the screen. What the fuck is Berlin?" The question hung, accusation sharpening it. Isaiah sat up, sheets pooling. "A conference. Years ago. Victor pushed coke, girls, the works. I said no, walked. He didn't take kindly. But the pretty boy. That's you. He still has something on you." Elijah's voice rose, hurt blooming fresh. "No, just bluster." Isaiah reached, but Elijah pulled back. "I swear, it's nothing." "Nothing? Like the leak? Your protections always leave me in the dark." Elijah stood, pacing, the city's hum mocking their fracture. "I thought we were past this." "We are." Isaiah rose, closing the distance, hands gentle on Elijah's arms. "I tell you everything now. Starting with this, Victor's pitching a biopic, your life but sanitized. He cornered me today, said it'd fix the narrative. Offered me co-produce if I convinced you to drop me as manager." Elijah froze, the betrayal sinking in. Not Isaiah's, but Victor's machinations weaving them tighter. "And I told him to fuck off." Isaiah's eyes burned. "You're not a project. You're mine." The words bridged the gap, Elijah pulling him down, kisses turning desperate, a reclaiming. But as they fell together, the seed of doubt took root. How deep did Victor's hooks go? And could love withstand the pull? The fallout from the kiss rippled outward, a tidal wave reshaping their world. Elijah's inbox flooded with interview requests, Out magazine wanting the real story, The Advocate pitching a cover on Hollywood's new power couple. Isaiah fielded them like grenades, curating a path that amplified without exploiting. "We're setting the terms," he declared over breakfast one sun-drenched morning, his laptop open to a calendar crammed with podcasts and Pride events. Elijah nodded, but the thrill soured with each notification. Fan art flooded his feeds, sweet sketches of intertwined hands, but so did the hate. Slurs carved into comment sections, death threats that had Isaiah hiring extra security for the loft. "It's the price," Isaiah soothed during a tense drive to a radio spot in Silver Lake, his hand on Elijah's thigh a steadying force. "We pay it and it gets better." But better felt elusive. Lena hosted an impromptu solidarity supper at her Venice bungalow. fairy lights twinkling over a spread of vegan tacos and craft IPAs. A handful of industry friends filtered in co-stars from Echoes, a non-binary writer who'd optioned Elijah's script, creating a bubble of acceptance amid the chaos. To Elijah and Isaiah, Lena toasted, clinking bottles. For flipping the script on fairy tales. Laughter flowed, stories swapped. The writers battle with studio notes demanding straighter leads. A director's coming-out tale that tanked her indie run but birthed a cult hit. Isaiah relaxed into it, arms slung over Elijah's chair, but Elijah caught him checking his phone. Victor's name flashing before Isaiah silenced it. Later, as guests thinned, Elijah cornered him on the deck overlooking the canal. "Talk to me. What's he want now?" Isaiah leaned on the railing, city lights reflecting in his eyes. Same song, the biopic. Says he'll expose details from Berlin if I don't play ball. He air-quoted, dismissive, but tension etched his posture. Details? Elijah pressed, heart thudding. What details, Isaiah? A beat, then. I was 22, naive. Victor hosted these networking after-parties, booze, pills, propositions. I dipped into the scene once, high as fuck, made out with some model in a bathroom stall. He photographed it. Leverage, he called it. I deleted the evidence, but he keeps dredging it. Elijah's world tilted, not from revulsion. Isaiah's past was his own, but from the poison of secrecy. And you carried that alone? All this time. Isaiah turned, vulnerability cracking his armor. Thought it was buried. Protecting you meant protecting us from that filth. Us. Elijah's voice broke. Or just your shame? The accusation landed, and Isaiah recoiled as if struck. Not shame, fear. Of losing you to my messes. Tears glistened, unbidden, and Elijah's anger crumbled, pulling him into an embrace that smelled of salt and sage from Lena's herb garden. Inside, the party wound down, but Elijah's mind raced. Victor wasn't just a predator. He was a relic, wielding outdated weapons in a town inching toward progress. We fight him, Elijah murmured into Isaiah's hair. Together, expose the bastard. Isaiah pulled back, eyes wide. That could tank everything. Careers, deals. Fuck the deals. Elijah's resolve hardened. This is bigger than us. The decision catalyzed action. Over the next days, they gathered allies. Lena connected them to a journalist at The Hollywood Reporter with a track record on Me Too reckonings in entertainment. Elijah's scriptwriter friend dug into Victor's history, whispers of settlements, blacklisted talents. Isaiah hesitated at first, old instincts urging silence, but Elijah's steady gaze, were real, pushed him forward. They met in a nondescript coffee shop in Koreatown, The Reporter, a sharp-eyed woman named Riley with tattoos snaking up her arms, scribbling notes as Isaiah recounted Berlin in halting detail. He preys on ambition, Isaiah said, voice steadying. Uses it to bind you. Elijah added his piece. Victor's overtures, the card, the biopic ploy. Riley's pen flew, then paused. This could blow up. You ready for the blast radius? Isaiah glanced at Elijah, hands linked under the table. Yeah, we are. The article dropped a week later, Hollywood's shadow mentor. Victor Lang's trail of coerced loyalties. Anonymous at first, but Elijah and Isaiah went on record in a follow-up podcast, Voices Unflinching. The response was seismic. Victor's project stalled overnight, actors coming forward with their stories. A domino effect of reckoning. Elijah's phone rang off the hook. Support from GLAAD, backlash from Victor's cronies. But in the eye of the storm, he and Isaiah found footing. They retreated to Joshua Tree for a weekend unplug, renting an Airstream trailer under star-pricked skies. No signals, just campfires and the vast desert hush. Around the fire that first night, embers dancing like fireflies, Isaiah pulled out a battered journal. His own scribbles from NYU days, poems jagged with longing. Wrote this after Berlin, he confessed, reading aloud. In the city's underbelly, I learned to love the bruise. / proof that touch leaves marks worth wearing. His voice trembled, and Elijah listened, seeing the boy who'd survived, the man who'd chosen light. You're beautiful, Elijah whispered, drawing him close. They made love under the trailer's tin roof, slow and sacred, the desert wind whispering approval. No rush, just presence, the curve of Isaiah's hip under his palm, the hitch in his breath like music. Morning brought clarity. The biopic? Elijah asked over instant coffee, legs tangled on the picnic table. Scrap it. Write our story, yours, mine. The real one. Isaiah's smile dawned slow. Ours. They sketched outlines in the sand. A tale of two outsiders navigating fame's funhouse. Love as the only true north. Back in LA, the high crashed. Victor retaliated. A smear piece in a rag blog, twisting Isaiah's Berlin tale into manager's wild past in danger star. Trolls swarmed, digging into Elijah's Ohio roots, unearthing his stepdad's arrest record for abuse. The man himself surfaced, a grizzled figure in a pawnshop polo, selling exclusive interviews to any bidder. My boy's always been troubled. Hollywood made him queer. Elijah shattered a glass in the loft, shards glittering like accusations. It's him, fueling Victor's fire. Isaiah swept the mess, hand steady. Then we starve it. Go home. Face him. The idea terrified. Ohio's flatlands a graveyard of memories. But Isaiah's plan was sound. Confront the source, record it, flip the narrative to survivor strength. I'm coming, Isaiah insisted, booking flights before Elijah could protest. The flight east was turbulent, mirroring Elijah's gut. Isaiah held his hand through takeoff, thumb circling soothing patterns. You're not that kid anymore, he echoed their old mantra. You're the man who rewrites endings. Columbus greeted them with gray skies and chain-link fences. The trailer park a faded Polaroid of Elijah's youth. His stepdad's double-wide squatted at the end, tires on cinder blocks, a for-sale sign sagging in the yard. Elijah knocked, heart hammering, Isaiah a solid presence at his back. The door creaked open, revealing a man hollowed by years, whiskey-bloated face, eyes squinting suspicion. The hell you want, boy? You, Elijah said, voice even, talking shit for cash. End it. The stepdad barked a laugh, stepping onto the stoop, beer can in fist. Fame turned you soft. Always knew you were. Off. The slur hung, but Elijah held ground, phone recording discreetly in his pocket. Isaiah shifted forward, voice calm steel. We're here to buy your silence. One payment, clean. Or we let the world hear how you built your troubled son. The man blustered, but greed won. Terms haggled in the weedy yard. A check exchanged for a signed NDA and deleted drafts. As they drove away, Ohio shrinking in the rearview, Elijah exhaled a decade's weight. It's over. Isaiah squeezed his knee. Beginning. But victory soured en route to the airport. Isaiah's phone lit with a call. Victor's assistant. Voice clipped. He's out. Studio dropped him. But he left a gift. Attached. Grainy photos, Isaiah in that Berlin stall, time-stamped. Damning. Elijah's blood-iced. How? Old contacts. Revenge. Isaiah's face ashen. He deleted them. But the damage lingered. Trust fracturing anew. Back in LA, the loft felt like a cage. You said it was gone, Elijah accused, pacing. But he had proof all along. I thought. Isaiah started, then stopped, defeat slumping his shoulders. I lied to protect you. Again. The chasm yawned, betrayal's echo. Elijah grabbed his keys. I need air. He fled to the balcony, city lights blurring through tears. Isaiah followed, but the door stayed shut, space for now. Nights bled into days of strained civility. Isaiah crashing on the couch, Elijah burying in script revisions, the loft a minefield of averted eyes and half-spoken apologies. The Berlin photos haunted, not for their content. Elijah had no claim on Isaiah's youth, but for the lie that armored it. Trust is the casualty. Lena observed over coffee at a mid-city diner, her empathy sharp as ever. But love? That's the medic. Give it time. Time crawled. Elijah threw himself into pre-production for his directorial debut. A low-budget adaptation of his Drifter script, greenlit by a queer-friendly streamer after the Victor scandal. Casting calls filled the loft with nervous hopefuls, Elijah directing from a folding chair, Isaiah lingering in the kitchen, brewing tea like a ghost. One evening, after a grueling callback where a young actor nailed the vulnerability scene, Elijah found Isaiah on the fire escape, staring at the hill's twinkling sprawl. "Hey!" Elijah said, joining him, the metal groaning under their weight. Isaiah didn't turn. "I fucked up, royally, keeping that from you. It was cowardice, not care." His voice cracked, raw. "Berlin wasn't just a party. Victor, he cornered me after. Said I'd owe him if I wanted the next gig. I ran, but the fear stuck, like tar." Elijah leaned on the railing, close but not touching. "I get fear. Ohio taught me that." He paused, wind ruffling his hair. "But we vowed no walls. You built one anyway." Isaiah nodded, tears tracking silent. "I know. And if you want me gone, manager, lover, all of it, I'll go. You deserve clean." The offer hung, a mercy Elijah didn't want. "Gone? That's not it." He turned Isaiah gently, cupping his face, thumbs wiping salt. "I want you here, messy, real, but honest. From now on." Relief flooded Isaiah's features, and he surged forward, kissing Elijah with desperate gratitude. Lips salty, hands clutching like lifelines. They stumbled inside, falling onto the bed in a tangle of limbs and forgiveness, bodies speaking what words fumbled. It was healing, fierce, a reclamation under the loft's exposed beams. Rebuilding meant excavation. They attended therapy, joint sessions with a counselor specializing in creative couples, a cozy office in West Hollywood scented with eucalyptus. Secrets thrive in silence. The therapist, Marisol, said, her voice a gentle prod. "Name them and they lose power." Isaiah unpacked Berlin fully. The isolation of youth, the industry's predatory underbelly, how Victor's shadow had warped his instincts to shield at all costs. Elijah shared too. Ohio's beatings, the stepdad's rages that left welts and whispers of not man enough. The first fumbling kiss with a farmhand that confirmed what he'd always known. "I hid to survive," he admitted. "But with you, I want to live loud." Marisol nodded. "Then practice. Small steps. Homework. Weekly truth dates. No-holds-barred talks over walks in Griffith Park, where eucalyptus groves muffled confessions. The first, Isaiah admitting he'd turned down a solo agency offer in New York, fearing it'd pull him from Elijah. "Stayed for us. But it cost resentment, maybe." Elijah listened, then shared his dread of directorial flop. "What if I'm just the pretty face? No depth." "You're depth incarnate," Isaiah countered, kissing his temple. "And I'll be front row, cheering the mess." Progress showed. The film's shoot kicked off in the Eastern Sierra, craggy peaks and alpine meadows standing in for the drifters' wanderings. Elijah directed with a fervor that surprised even him, Isaiah producing quietly, his touches now public. A hand on Elijah's shoulder during takes, a quick kiss between setups that elicited whoops from the crew. Wrap party in a Mammoth Lakes lodge. Bonfire crackling, cast toasting with local brews. Lena arrived fashionably late, bearing a cake iced with our story, directed by Elijah. As flames danced, Elijah pulled Isaiah aside to the tree line, stars wheeling overhead. "This, us, the film, it's because of you, pushing me to claim it." Isaiah's smile was soft. "Nah, you were always the fire. I just fanned." Their kiss was unhurried, the forest sighing approval. But climax brewed back in LA. Victor, dethroned but venomous, leaked doctored footage. Grainy clips splicing Isaiah's Berlin photos with Elijah's Ohio interviews, painting a toxic romance narrative. It hit during post-production, screens in the editing bay freezing on twisted lies. Elijah's phone exploded. Investors pulling funding, castmates texting concern. Rage propelled him to Isaiah's office, where he found him on a call, face ashen. "They're killing it," Isaiah said, hanging up. "The streamers balking. Say it's too risky post-scandal." "No." Elijah's voice brooked no argument. "We fight." He rallied the team, Lena crowdfunding via a viral plea, the writer circulating a petition. Isaiah reached into his network, old allies stepping up with counter-PR. The confrontation came unbidden. Victor cornered them at an industry mixer in the Roosevelt Hotel, cigar smoke curling like serpents. "Gentlemen," he drawled, suit rumpled, eyes bloodshot. "Touching your little crusade. But talent fades. Scandals stick." Isaiah stepped forward, voice ice. "Yours is sticking now. Lawsuits filed. Defamation. Extortion. Enjoy the deposition." Victor's laugh was hollow. "You think you win? This town's memory is long." He lunged, more drunk than dangerous, but security swarmed, hauling him out amid flashes. In the aftermath, Elijah and Isaiah retreated to the hotel bar, adrenaline crashing. "It's done," Isaiah whispered, head on Elijah's shoulder. "He can't touch us." But Elijah saw the toll, Isaiah's hands shaking as he sipped scotch. "What if he can? What if this breaks us?" Isaiah lifted his chin, eyes fierce. "Then we break beautiful. Together." The streamers board reconvened, buoyed by public outcry. Funding restored, with a bonus for authenticity. Post-wrapped, Elijah's directorial cut screening to raves at a private test. Critics buzzed, "A raw queer odyssey. Heart directs with unflinching heart." Yet victory tasted bittersweet. Isaiah confessed over a quiet dinner at their favorite taqueria. "I got an offer. Head of development at a rival studio. Real power. But it'd mean leaving you as client." Elijah's fork stilled. "Leaving? Us? No. Just the manager hat. Be my partner. In everything." Isaiah's hand extended across the table, palm up, an invitation. Elijah took it, heart swelling. Yes, all in. The premiere of Wanderer's Scar lit up the Vista Theater like a beacon, marquee glowing against the December dusk. Elijah stood in the lobby, adjusting his cufflinks. Simple silver, engraved with hours, hard a drumbeat under his tailored vest. Isaiah emerged from the crowd, resplendent in midnight blue, his smile a lighthouse cutting fog. "You ready?" Isaiah asked, hands slipping into Elijah's, interlacing fingers for the world to see. "Born ready." They stepped onto the carpet together, flashes erupting, but this time no masks. Just them, unapologetic. Reporters shouted questions, but Elijah waved them off with a grin. "Watch the film. It says it all." Inside, the theater hummed with allies. Lena in the front row, dabbing tears during the drifter's confession scene. Marisol nodding approval from the back. Even Riley, the journalist, live-tweeting the catharsis. As credits rolled to standing ovations, Isaiah leaned in. "You did it, L masterpiece." "We did." Elijah's voice thickened, pride mingling with something deeper. Gratitude for the man who'd walked every shadowed mile. After party at a rooftop in Los Feliz. Skyline sprawling, toasts flowing like the vintage rose. Industry heavyweights approached, not with pitches but respect. "Revolutionary," one producer murmured, shaking Elijah's hand. And that ending, human as hell. The film ended not in triumph, but quiet grace. The drifter, scarred but whole, choosing a hand extended in the dawn light. Echoes of their story, laced with humanism. No tidy bows, just the messy beauty of persistence. As the night waned, Elijah and Isaiah slipped away to a quiet corner, city lights winking below. "Remember the bar?" Elijah asked, tracing Isaiah's jaw. "That rain-soaked confession?" Isaiah chuckled, pulling him closer. "How could I forget? Thought I'd lost you." "You almost did." Elijah's gaze softened. "But love's not a spotlight. It's the quiet weight, the truth held gentle." Isaiah kissed him then, slow and sure, the world fading to their shared breath. No betrayals left unspoken, no fears unchased. They'd built something resilient, forged in conflict's fire, tempered by forgiveness. Months later, the film swept awards season. Indie Spirit for Elijah's direction, Glad Nod for representation. But success was secondary to Mornings in the Loft. Now there's Fully. Isaiah consulting on queer-led projects. Elijah developing a follow-up script infused with their truth dates revelations. One crisp spring afternoon, they drove to Big Sur, their sanctuary. Windows down, Springsteen crooning from the speakers. At the same beach, fire pit crackling, Isaiah pulled a small box from his jacket. Not a ring, but matching pendants. Simple scars etched in silver. "For the marks we wear," he said, fastening Elijah's around his neck. "Proof we're here." Elijah's fingers brushed the metal, warm against skin. And staying. They walked the surf's edge as tide pulled out, leaving treasures in the sand, shells, stones, echoes of storms weathered. No grand finale, just this. Two men, hands linked, stepping into whatever light or shadow came next. In America's vast, unforgiving dreamscape, they'd carved a home, not flawless, but fiercely their own. Human, after all, in the tender spaces between. And in that quiet, the truth they'd feared held no terror, only the promise of more dawns, shared.